Let me ask you something right out of the gate. Can you picture Matthew Judon wearing a Dallas Cowboys uniform? Yeah, I know, it sounds wild at first. But the rumor mill is spinning fast, and this one's starting to make a lot more sense than you might think. According to a recent report by ESPN, the Cowboys have been mentioned as a potential landing spot for the veteran pass rusher. That's right. Dallas is being listed as a top destination for a four-time Pro Bowler who's known for bringing serious heat off the edge. And let's be real, when a name like Judon pops up in the conversation, it's hard not to pay attention. Now you might be wondering, is this really a new rumor? Not exactly. Truth is, Judon's name has been loosely linked to the Cowboys in the past, especially whenever fans and analysts start talking about experienced defensive upgrades. But this time, the buzz feels different. There's real weight behind the speculation, and timing might be the key factor. Why now? Well, the Cowboys are at a crossroads. After another disappointing playoff exit, the front office is under pressure to bring in pieces that can immediately elevate this roster. And let's be honest, when you look around the league, teams with deep veteran pass rushing rotations are the ones going deep in January. So, could Judon be part of that puzzle in Dallas? Would his presence alongside Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence give this defense the edge it needs to finally break through? Hey, I want to hear from you. Would you like to see Judon in a Cowboys jersey? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. And if you're all in on this kind of move, do me a favor. Hit that like button so we know this is the kind of reinforcement Cowboys Nation is ready for. Now, before we go any further, we need to break down exactly what Matthew Judon could still offer at this point in his career. Because let's face it, before making any move, you've got to know what you're getting. Let's dive into that right now. All right, now that we've got the rumors on the table, let's talk about the most important piece of the puzzle. What can Matthew Judon still bring to the field in 2025? Let's rewind for a second. Judon started his career with the Baltimore Ravens, where he built a reputation as a relentless edge rusher with a high motor and consistent production. Then he took things to another level when he joined the New England Patriots. In 2021 and 2022, he was an absolute force, posting 12.5 and 15.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons, making the Pro Bowl both years and becoming the centerpiece of New England's pass rush. But then came 2023. Unfortunately, a torn biceps cut his season short after just 4 games, and that's where the question marks start to appear. At 32 years old, coming off a significant injury, can Judon still play at the level we saw just a couple of years ago? Here's the thing. You don't just forget how to rush the passer. Judon's technique, awareness, and ability to disrupt the pocket are still elite. Even if his snap count decreases, his impact in crucial downs, especially on third and long situations, could be exactly what Dallas needs. Now imagine this. Micah Parsons drawing double teams, DeMarcus Lawrence anchoring the run defense, and Judon rotating in as a fresh-legged weapon off the edge. That's a nightmare for any offensive line, especially late in games and deep into the playoffs. Of course, there's the flip side, too. Maybe the injury takes a toll. Maybe he's lost half a step. And let's not ignore the fact that the Cowboys already have some young talent in the pipeline. So, is it smarter to go younger and develop, or go veteran and push for a Super Bowl now? What do you think? Can Judon still make a difference at a high level, or is it time to move on from aging pass rushers? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you bring him in as a starter, or just as part of a rotational unit? Vote down below. Starter, if you think he still has it. Rotation, if you'd use him sparingly but smartly. Coming up next, let's talk about whether the Cowboys even need another edge rusher right now, or if the front office should be looking elsewhere entirely. Okay, let's be real now. Before we get too deep into the Matthew Judon hype train, we need to ask something important. Do the Cowboys truly need another edge rusher right now? At first glance, the answer might seem like a no. I mean, Micah Parsons is a game wrecker, no question about it. He's, One of the most disruptive defenders in the entire NFL and commands so much attention on every snap. Then you've got DeMarcus Lawrence, who might not put up massive sack numbers but still plays at a high level, especially against the run. And let's not forget Dorrance Armstrong, who continues to be a solid contributor in the rotation. But here's where things get interesting. Depth and durability. As good as Parsons and Lawrence are, they can't do it all alone. And when you look at some of the best defenses in the league, the Eagles, 49ers, Ravens, they all have one thing in common. They rotate edge rushers like clockwork. It's about keeping guys fresh, unpredictable, and dangerous for 4 full quarters. That's exactly where a player like Judon could come in. He doesn't have to be the focal point of the defense. He just needs to deliver timely pressure, especially when Parsons is drawing doubles or needs a breather. With Judon in the mix, Dan Quinn, or whoever leads this defense in 2025, could deploy a variety of looks, confusing offenses, and keeping quarterbacks guessing. And here's another angle. Playoff football is all about defensive stops in key moments. You need legs, experience, and someone who's been in big games. Judon checks all those boxes. Still, it's fair to ask, is edge rusher really the top priority? Or should the Cowboys be thinking about other needs? Maybe another linebacker, cornerback depth, or even bolstering the offensive line? So let me toss the question to you. Do you believe the Cowboys need to bring in another veteran pass rusher? Or should they be focusing elsewhere this offseason? Drop your take in the comments below. Type defense if you think pass rush is still the move. Or type other need if you'd rather see Dallas spend that money somewhere else. All right, now let's get down to what really matters. Money. Because hey, you and I both know talent is great, but in today's NFL, cap space is king. So the big question here is, what would it actually cost the Cowboys to bring in Matthew Judon? Well, according to recent market projections, Judon's next deal wouldn't break the bank. We're talking about something in the range of 2 years, around $8 to $10 million total. That's roughly $4 to $5 million per season, which, let's be honest, is a pretty reasonable price for a 4-time Pro Bowler with playoff experience. Compare that to what some other pass rushers are making right now, and it starts to look like a smart value pickup. Plus, considering Judon is coming off a season limited by injury, his price tag might even dip a bit lower, especially if teams want to see how he bounces back physically. Now, how does that fit into the Cowboys' current cap situation? Dallas is definitely tight on space, but there are always ways to get creative. Restructuring veteran contracts, making a few strategic cuts, or even pushing some money into future years could open the door to signing a player like Judon without derailing the rest of the offseason plans. But hey, every signing comes with risk, right? With Judon, you've got to factor in his age, he'll be 33 this year, his recent injury, and the possibility that he may not be the same dominant force he was just a couple seasons ago. So the real debate is this: is Judon worth a mid-level investment for a contender like Dallas? Or would that money be better spent on younger talent or another position entirely? Let's make this interactive. Would you pay $4 to $5 million a year for Matthew Judon? Vote in the comments, yes or no. And here's a follow-up for you. If not Judon, is there another affordable edge rusher you'd rather see in a Cowboys uniform? Drop a name below. I want to hear your ideas. Because up next, it's time for the final call. Does Matthew Judon to the Cowboys actually make sense? Or is this just off-season noise?